你好，我是 Nestor. Oh, sorry, that is Chinese. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Nestor in China. Today I want to talk to you about how I learned Chinese in 3 months. Well, basically how I improved it, and most importantly, how I started writing and reading, which really changed my life in China. I will tell you why I did it, how I did it, and also can give you some tips so you can do it too if you want to do it. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please consider hitting the subscribe button below so you don't miss any of my future videos about China. Your support means a lot to me, thank you. So now let's go to the topic of today's video, how I learned Chinese in 3 months. Well, look, I've been living in China for over 20 years. However, I never learned proper Chinese. My basic Chinese training dated when I just arrived China from Mexico for working. And so my company hired me a student who taught me Chinese for 6 months. But I just took classes for 3 months and I quit it because I was busy and got distracted. And then I had 20 years, right? Listening and talking. And I thought my Chinese was great, but actually it was not. I will tell you later why. What made me change to want to learn Chinese properly is in the COVID times in 2020, when the COVID just started in China. Just months ago, I started my own Spanish school with some friends. It was quite successful. We had many students, Chinese students, who wanted to learn Spanish. And I teach personally. I was creating the program. I am Mexican, so I love my language and I enjoy teaching it. So that's why I created the school. But what surprised me a lot is my students were learning Spanish so fast. In the first month, the pronunciation was clear, and in 3 months, they already can hold a basic conversation. So actually, that inspired me, and I told them, "Wow, guys, if you can learn Spanish so fast, I should lead by example." And then I promised them, "I promise you, in 3 months, I will improve my Chinese." They didn't believe me. They said, "Ah, Chinese is difficult." And so what I did is, then I had a goal. I want to learn Chinese as fast as possible. I didn't know how much it would take me, 1 month, 3 months, 1 year. I had no idea. Well, my goal was clear. And then I said, okay, how to do it? I consider myself an IT guy. I study computer science in Mexico. And I believe that the best way to do things is using logic, programming logic in this case, but basic logic. So I sit down and say, okay, what's the best way to learn Chinese? I explore many options, but then I say, okay, how my students are learning? And how babies in China learn Chinese, because Chinese is a difficult language actually. I heard it was top 3, Arabian, Chinese, Spanish goes on down there, then other languages. And so I said, well, babies learn Chinese in 1, 2, 3 years, and so I follow that. So okay, how we do this is by repetition. I need to repeat, I want to see what people talk, what people use, and I will copy. So my strategy was to see what my friends are writing, and I will try to memorize those words and practice writing and reading. So the strategy was to spend 2 hours every day. I learned this from Elon Musk. If you want to do it as much as you can efficiently. In China we use WeChat, and I have a group of my best friends. They are Chinese. Every day I go there and copy what they write in Chinese. Then I go and paste it into Google. I do things first. I replay so I can listen to pronunciation, and then I read to this part what they call pinyin. Pinyin is the Latin characters that we foreigners and also Chinese babies use to write the actual character. For example, this part says hi is for this symbol. So what I do is, using this Google screen, I start seeing the characters and I go and write into my notebook, character by character. I first write the Chinese characters, so next time when somebody sends me a message, I can recognize character, and also when I write in my computer or in mobile, I can know if it helps me for visualization of the character. After that, I will write below the pinyin. That will help me to know how to pronounce every character in the right tone. Finally, below, I start writing the meaning in English, word by word. Even it doesn't look good, but it helps me to associate every word to every character. And then I memorize this part. That's the way I can pronounce. So what I do to practice pronunciation is I read high and I look at the symbol to try memorizing my mind, and then may and this character, and then I pronounce chue is this, I know it's that, ding is that, hui, chi, o. So you can see it's like a music. You can notice these characters here, these symbols. You can notice these accents here. So these are the tones. There are 4 tones in China, and that's very important to memorize. So different tone can give the word different meanings. So it's very important. So we can practice together. This one is hai mei chui ding hui chi o. So it means hai is not yet, mei is no, chui ding, this part chui ding, it means confirm. Hui chi, hui is to do again, chi is to go. So you combine the meanings do it again and go, it means return. And this o is an expression like to end the pronunciation. So as you can see, actually Chinese has a very interesting meaning. The reason to do that is, first, it will be efficient. I will learn the words that are being used every day. Because if you take classes, they will start teaching words like bird, gold, sky, whatever, right? But you learn from friends, you will start learning like, let's go to eat, I like this soup, and how much is that? You got the point. I want to learn faster because I don't want to wait. I have a passion. And so I use this to write in my notebook again and again and again, every day for 2 hours. And this is how writing 2 hours every day for 3 months looks like. I had 3 notebooks full of writing Chinese characters. And even I tried to make a vocabulary to memorize. And so it's been a lot of hard work, but it paid off, guys. After 3 months, my Chinese improved a lot, and I feel so great going out and talking to friends and understanding everybody, reading messages with a translation. And what can I say? Learning the language was very fulfilling. I also tried watching Chinese news and do the same system, watching, translating, writing. However, I found out it took me so much time just to write a paragraph. It took me like 2 hours. I'm not exaggerating. And the amount of vocabulary I learned was not very useful. There were so many words that I would never use in real life, so I stopped doing that. Another thing I did is YouTube. YouTube is the best resource we can have. We are so lucky to live in this world because you can practically learn everything from YouTube. So I went to YouTube and searched for learning Chinese, and I found many programs like this, many of them, where they introduce new words every day. So every day I was learning the best 20 words for weekend, the most practical words for friends, the 300 main verbs and whatever, right? So every day I spend 2 hours in the morning doing this, copying the chats from my friends, translating, writing, repeating. And before sleeping, I'm watching all these videos to learn new vocabulary and practice. I did this for 3 months, and the next time I talked to my friends, they were surprised. I said, wow, Nestor, your Chinese really has improved. And that made me feel very, very happy. Other things that you have to consider when you want to learn Chinese are the tones. There are 4 tones that can make a difference. If you pronounce a word in a different tone, which is an intonation, it makes for a totally different meaning, something very, very funny. And the other thing is enjoy it. I found a way to enjoy Chinese because writing is it's like a writing, you know, it has some kind of logic, how the traces flow. I don't know, but I love it. I'm a graphic designer too, so I love drawing. And dealing with the tones, the pronunciation, it's like a singing, it's like an art. So for me, every character I learn, I memorize, I write, and I learn to pronounce. It's totally enjoyable. So I think if you find that joy, you can learn Chinese faster. For 20 years, I was learning and repeating, and I thought my Chinese was good. And I have a story to tell you. I was confident that my Chinese was good. Come on, 20 years in China speaking Chinese. Come on, and nobody tell me my Chinese is very bad. So one day I got a girlfriend about 3 years ago, and I thought my Chinese was good. The first time we dated, everything was great. I just in Chinese, 你好吗? And she was like, 很好,你呢? Basically like, how are you? I'm good, and you? The days pass. The second week, I run out of words to ask, and I want to ask what happened to your day, and she had to use translator, and then she told me something in Chinese like, okay, I went with my friends for nails, something like that. Of course, I cannot understand. So she sent me the message, but we try to and I translate. As you understand, you cannot have a relationship like that. So I feel frustrated, anxious, and I was so sad, but I explained her, and we had to break up. But then, 3 years ago, in 3 months, I improved my Chinese every day 2 hours, and it's totally different. My last girlfriend was all Chinese 2 years ago, and she only speaks Chinese, no English, and we have a wonderful time. We stayed together for 3 months, and she left the city, so we had to end the relationship. But we could talk forever, every day. We could express our feelings. It was a wonderful relationship. So learning Chinese, I don't regret. It was the best decision in my life. And I had to do it. 20 years in China and not speaking Chinese, really. And that's all for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Best way to support my channel. And if you have any comments about how to learn Chinese, let me know below. And also, if you have any ideas what you want to see in the next video, also let me know, please. I'm always looking for new video ideas to develop. Together we can make this channel better. Thanks again. Zaijian. Goodbye.